but okay, right.
So you were.
So I convinced him to go to. I said, "Don't fuck. You're bitching and pissing about the doctors."
Yeah.
I said, "Gene, you're fucking smarter than me." I said, "Go, come pre-med with me," and he did.
Yeah.
And I went to med school. He went to med school. But while we were studying physics, we got stuck on a problem. And it was a problem that had to do with optics. And I said to Gene, get your dad, get him up here. And Gene goes, yeah, I guess so, right? So, so he called over his dad, who was an optometrist.
Al, right? Was that?
Al Ferreira, yeah. This guy blew us away.
No
He
kidding.
goes, what are you guys, stuck on an optics problem? He goes, let me see what you're doing there. And he grabbed my textbook and turned it around. He goes, well, yeah. He goes, this is all straightforward stuff. He goes, blah, 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 blah. He untangled
Wow.
the tangled ball of bullshit that we were stuck on for hours.
Wow.
And then as he was walking away, he just looked at me and shook his head and laughed. And I thought, this guy's fucking brilliant.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Now,
for real.
Now, Gene himself, and we're talking about people out in podcast land, we're talking about our friend from childhood. John knows him longer than I do. But remember, he did graduate college, and he had a job as an accountant. Correct.
Yeah.
And he worked I remember him telling the story, in the basement of a hospital.
I think it was.
I know what hospital.
Right.
He worked in the
right.
basement of a hospital,
right.
in a cubicle.
Yeah.
He said with no windows, and he said he couldn't take it. What did he last, a year, John?
No, he was there for a bunch of years, and then
wait a minute.
Because he became very close friends with one of his associates, a guy named Sal. And then I got to know Sal and Sal's sister-in-law and all that crap, and. Yeah, but
the point of the story is that, here's a guy who graduated college, got his degree. Did he pass the CPA? Did he take the CPA?
I don't know. I don't know if he passed
his. For this job, gets a career, goes, you know what? I'm not happy. Smart enough to go back to school, and here you are saying that you said, come on, you can do this. Mm-hmm. And he went to med school, got accepted, and had a whole different career.
He became a pathologist. And
for the next 20-something years.
Well, it was even longer than that. And he's only retired now, about, off the top of my head, I want to say 2 years. Wow. Yeah, and he made the move from Jersey. He had his career in Massachusetts, and then he's down in on the west coast of Florida.
We're going to call this the Gene. I don't know if we should say his last name, but
no, I don't.
Yeah, let's talk about this episode.
That bastard might sue us.
Yeah, he's definitely got his communion money. That's for sure. And he'll be looking for more.
That's what my father used to tell him, Gene. You got your communion money.
The great Mr. Gallucci. All right, let's do a countdown, then we'll continue this conversation, John. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, The Jersey Alchemist. I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci.
That was so freaking impressive, and I am Philip D'Angelo. Let's hear it. Another episode. John, we're closing in on episode 90.
We're getting close. Well, we're getting close to 90.
I mean, come on, we're just warming up now.
We're just warming up.
This is something else.
Yep.
I'm having so much fun.
And the platform censors and the shadow banning is just making us more resolute. Right. I've seen brilliant podcasters shut their channels down because they were demonetized. We're not monetized, and guess what? I'll do this for years, unmonetized, just to stick it up their asses.
Years, John?
I will.
All right. I'm not sure if my contract goes into the years.
It's okay.
I think you signed me on a month-to-month.
It's okay. Bones and I'll just get... Well, Bones could do this for decades.
Decades, yeah, that's for sure.
Doesn't affect him.
So, talking about our friend Gene from childhood.
Right.
I mean, how great was that, John, that he picked up a new career, like you said, moved out of Jersey.
Yeah.
And where did he meet his wife? This is
I introduced them.
No way.
Yeah, Cedar Grove Pool.
So wait a minute. She's a Cedar Grove girl.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So he owes you a lot, John. I mean, you got him to go to med school.
When he watches this episode, it's going to be funny. Yeah.
So he owes you a lot. Me, he owes nothing. So you got him a new career. You got him his wife.
Well, listen, anybody that I convinced to go to med school,
Yeah.
to pull them out of an existing career,
Yeah.
not a single one of them seemed to remember that it was me that said,
Really?
"What are you doing? You're smarter than me. I'm going to med school. Come on, jump in. The water's fine."
Wow.
Every single one of them. Now, I don't think I discussed this with Gene, but there have been a handful of people, and they all go, "Oh, you didn't get me." And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
But John, don't you have to have like a passion for med school, like some sort of?
You
Don't you
do.
want to help people? I mean, there's a human element to it.
Yes, you do. But sometimes it takes that epiphany, that it takes somebody else to go to the wall, to the light switch, and go, "Hey, guess what?" And all of a sudden, the light, and it's what? I'm an accountant. What? I'm a school teacher. What? I'm working in a pig lab, killing pigs and making pigs septic and doing pathologic studies on the effects of sepsis on their organs. Because that was another friend of mine who I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "You're the guy that's running this stupid pig lab." I said, "You're working for somebody else." I said, "You're brilliant." I said, "Knock this bullshit off." I said, "Go to med school." And he did. He did.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So with all this happening, I mean, it's amazing where inspiration comes from. I mean, you could have spiritual inspiration. You could
Yep.
be inspired by something you see or hear on a broadcast. But here it is, a friend, and you're just
Yeah.
giving somebody some advice. Well, they must have had a lot of respect for you to say, "Hey, well, maybe John's, maybe he's onto something."
I always had that ability to see
The good.
the bigger, the better, the higher aspects of those people around me. Now, that doesn't mean that anybody, there are people I would never have, the thought would never have occurred to me to try to coerce them to go to med school because, yeah, good friends, relatives, but they're just not that person.
So Gene became a pathologist.
He did.
Okay. What's a pathologist do? What's their...
Pathologists study microanatomy. So gross anatomy, right? The class that's gross anatomy that you take as a freshman in dental or medical school, and I did both. Gross anatomy. Gross just means the whole thing. So you get a cadaver on a table, and you're cutting open the entire cadaver, and you're studying, the different major areas and organ groups. So you're identifying.
Now, wait, John. That might stop a lot of people right there. I mean, cadavers aren't for everybody. True?
Cadavers are not for everybody, and I have to admit.
I don't know if I could do a cadaver.
Well, you never know. In dental school, there were 146 of us, and I'll never forget, my roommate was in my lab group, and it was the evening after our first lab go with our cadavers. And and that went on for the entire semester. And he and I went to the 23rd Street Diner in Manhattan to eat. And I wasn't thinking, but my clothing and my hair still stunk like formaldehyde. And I ordered what came naturally. I says, "I'll have the chicken parmesan." And when it came out, and I cut into it, and I saw the striations of the chicken meat, the muscle.
Sure.
I took a whiff, and all I smelled was formaldehyde, and I was like, ooh.
Okay.
And I can't remember what my roommate had, and I said, "What's the matter?" He goes, I'm not sure that I can eat this. And I said, "You know what? I think I'll take it home, and maybe I'll be ready to eat it tomorrow." Yeah, I couldn't eat it. But otherwise, I did great with it, and I was fascinated by, I think there were 35 cadavers in that room.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So,
I wrote a story about my cadaver in dental school.
Really?
Yeah, it's a fascinating story, and everybody should read it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what did it, I mean, tell me about your cadaver in dental school.
I think we did this on another episode.
I think so.
Yeah.
You had a vision and everything?
Yeah.
I tried to get Gene on the phone.
He didn't
I
answer.
was going to put him on speaker. I think he's just...
That's
Yeah.
a good idea, Phil. Try again.
Yeah,
Try
we'll
again,
Get
right?
him on the phone because we're going to hear right from the
Yeah,
horse's mouth.
and put them on. And put
And I
them
want
on.
him to
Put them on.
thank you.
You have put that on speaker, right? Put them on speaker.
And I want him to thank you in front of everybody, the millions and millions of.
Oh, I don't want
worldwide.
to. No, come on. Right, but anyway,
That's crazy.
yeah,
But cadaver, like a cadaver for me, that would have been. No, I can't. I can't do that. I'm just not built that way.
yeah, but you don't know. None of us really
Oh,
knew
wait,
it.
here he is. Gene. Gene. Yeah, here he is. Gene, you're on a speaker, and we're doing a live podcast right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
so-
it's being recorded, Gene.
Yeah, we're recording it, and we don't edit, so be careful what you say.
Happy 4th of July weekend, Gene.
Happy 4th.
Now, Gene,
Yeah.
we're talking about number one, how you have your communion money. Is that true?
My communion money, no.
Okay.
His confirmation money.
John was just telling the people out there how you owe him for
It's not
for
true.
your career. Is that true or not?
I didn't get any money.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. But
I remember communion.
Okay,
Actually, do I remember confirmation.
John, Gene, what about going to med school? Now, you had a career before you went to med school, correct?
I did. It
And
was in accounting, which
Account-
I wasn't happy with.
you worked in a basement with no windows, correct?
Well, yes.
Gene, when the
Well.
interviewer leads you and says, just yes or no, okay?
Okay.
All right. And how long were you there?
I was there for about 2 years, and then
Okay.
I switched accounting jobs
All right.
to another hospital.
Okay.
And I was there, I think, like another year and a half to 2 years.
Okay. Now, John says because of him, he convinced you to go to med school. True or false?
He doesn't even
You're
want
not
to.
even saying, of course it's true.
Listen, Gene, here's what happened. You bitched and pissed and moaned about all of the arrogant doctors and all the bullshit you guys were eating. And I said, hey, Gene, literally, I says, what the fuck, Gene? I said, you're smarter than me. I said, I'm going to med school. I said, jump in. The water's fine. And you did. And we both went, remember, all of those days at Montclair State, tension on a string.
Yeah, see? All right, so you do owe John your career. And now he's telling the world, because we are being seen in India, where?
Australia, Canada, the UK,
Canada, the UK,
right.
I believe where? Pakistan or Cambodia, something like that?
Cambodia and China and Russia.
So the whole world is hearing your story. We didn't mention your last name. So, and now you owe him your wife. He introduced you to your wife. Is that true?
That's true, too.
What? Gene, how could you not name one of your kids named John? How do you not name one of your kids John? This man right here, I mean, he set you up for life.
He really wants to kill me. Just kidding.
Girls and one's a boy.
One's a boy. Okay,
Just
you punked
kidding.
out- you punked out with that. Okay, I never knew it was true, and I didn't know she was a Cedar Grove girl either.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
Gene.
wow.
Hey, Gene.
Yeah.
Phil. We had a certain juncture before Phil contacted you, and he says, "Well, so Gene became a pathologist." He says, "What exactly is a pathologist?" And I started to talk, and then he called you. Can you tell the viewership exactly what is a pathologist?
Pathology, in the olden days, they called it the study of disease. But pretty much what a pathologist does nowadays, there's certainly all different specialties in pathology, from the laboratory to the anatomic side. But for general practice, we oversaw the laboratory where all the blood tests are run, including the blood bank. And the anatomic portion, we examine all the tissue biopsies. Anything that comes off of you or out of you goes to pathology, and we have a process of processing the specimen and then looking at it under a microscope and trying to determine what it is: benign, malignant, or somewhere in between.
Wow.
I have a question, Gene.
Yeah.
What is the accepted incidence of the average pathology report being inaccurate?
Questioning you.
Across the world, I don't mean with you.
Yeah.
I know you were never wrong.
Well, you're very close. That's actually a very close statement. If we're unsure, we sometimes will send it to a so-called specialist in the field, whether it be, breast or GI or soft tissue.
So you send it out, you outsource it.
Yeah.
Right.
And, we'll let the expert sort of determine what it is. We'll give our differential of what we think it is,
Right.
and then let them determine. Obviously get the expert opinion.
Yeah.
In that particular field.
So we used to do that whenever we took out or biopsied what appeared to be a Wilms tumor, even though they kind of knew, because that generally isn't a real tricky issue. But you know what? I think they all went to Wilms out in, where were they, in Wisconsin or something? You remember? Well, maybe you guys didn't deal with that, but that's because I was a pediatric surgeon. I lived in that world.
He's trying to one-up you, Gene. He's trying to one-up you.
Well, in residency, we process all the pediatric tumors in residency, but in general practice, we didn't have a pediatric surgeon on board, so we really didn't see that. But there are. Again, there's so-called experts in that, and I think there were a couple institutions, maybe in Detroit, that we would sometimes
Right.
send those to.
Gene, will you say right here now that accounting is a shit profession?
No, I would say
You won't say that? Will you say yes or no that you owe most of your good fortune to John Gerard Gallucci?
I'll tell you who I owe it to.
Talk to me. Mr. or Mrs. Ferrara.
His wife.
People.
He's being a politician now, his wife.
Your lovely bride?
No, I'll tell you, here's what happened. You want to really know the story?
Well, yeah.
So in accounting, graduated with an accounting degree. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. It was supposedly a good major. I got in the field. It was basically hospital-based accounting. Didn't really like it. I really wasn't on a CPA type track. And to be honest, after seeing you sort of go from your transition to dental school to medical school, and I saw people like Phil D'Angelo.
Oh, jeez. Stay out of jail.
At the time, you had your own business. To me, it appeared that it was going very well, and I saw all these people. Tommy was in a good financial position.
Well.
Yeah, one point. Yeah.
Right, at one point.
Right.
I just saw everybody sort of advancing,
Wow.
career-wise, and I felt I was like severely stagnated.
Wow.
And I had to make a change and do something. And the way it worked out was that there was a change in power in the accounting world where I was at, and with that change of power, it really wasn't favoring our department, and I figured this is the time to do something.
So politics created a need.
It created a fear.
Oh, wow.
Fear's a
There you go.
Fear's more. Well, Gene, in the podcast, we were expounding. What's that word? Your virtues. What's that word, John?
Extolling?
Extolling your virtues. How great it was to have one career, graduate college. Most people would have just stood there, but no, you decided, thanks to John, to go in a different direction, and we were tipping our hat to you, like how gutsy a thing that is to do.
And Gene, we also talked about your dad. That your dad was a prize fighter, and a smart son of a gun. Remember that time we didn't know which end was up with a physics problem, and I said, "Hey, Gene, get your dad here. This is optics." And you says, "Oh yeah." And your father came, he came sliding through the dining room, and we were there. And he says, "Oh, what's the problem here? What's the problem with it?" And he just completely unraveled the issue and settled it. And then I was gobsmacked. I didn't know that, your dad, who was an optometrist, I didn't know that he'd still remember this shit. He turned as he was walking away. He turned and shook his head and laughed at me like, you fools. Of course I know this stuff. Wow.
That's how that really bothers him to this day. How your father looked down on. No, he didn't say that.
He's kidding, Gene.
I'm kidding.
I remember that. It was with the optics, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Yes. All right, Gene. Well, listen, we're going to go. Hope all is well. We both miss you up here in Jersey.
Yep, we do. We love you, Gene, and have a great What do you got cooking for 4th of July? Anything?
I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I got to talk to my brother, see if he wants to do something. But
your wife, what she wants to do.
We might grill some sausage. Actually, there's a place down here that has pretty decent sausage. So
Right.
Italian.
So,
peppers.
hey, Gene, listen. Phil and I are gonna come and visit you. All right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Send the tickets to us. We'll get get rid of the communion money. Break open the vault, and let's go.
The communion money.
Gene, we love you.
All right,
See you soon,
Gene.
pal.
Hey, Phil.
Yes. Don't embarrass me.
I've told you this.
Uh-oh.
And Johnny will definitely appreciate it. But and I've mentioned this to you recently. But being my lifting partner for a while.
Yeah. Well, I learned from this guy. Go ahead.
So the best one was when you were doing incline benches.
Yeah.
And somebody else was spotting you. It wasn't me.
That's a problem.
And as he was spotting you, every time you did a rep,
He'd count.
he would say 1, 9 more to go, 2, 8 more to go,
Yeah. I
3,
remember that.
7 more to go.
Yeah, I remember that.
So you finished your reps.
Yeah.
You got up from the bench, you turned to him, and you said, "Don't ever effing kill me."
Yeah. It's funny. Do you know I lost a very good friend I used to train with because he did the same thing, and we had a blowout in the gym, and I haven't talked to him since. Thanks for bringing up my, my lack of civility in the gym, if you will.
It was a distraction.
It was a distraction.
Right.
That's right. But you weren't there when I needed you. I had to go to somewhere else. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion.
Maybe he was in a bathroom.
I don't know. He's probably planning his trip to Florida.
Hey, Gene, listen. We're gonna send you. After this goes up on YouTube, we'll send you the mug for the Jersey Alchemist and the link. You can listen to yourself and watch the podcast. But for God's sakes, I know you since I'm 3.5 years old. You got to go on YouTube, like, subscribe, and share.
Come on, just get your friends. Tell your wife, your kids, your brother.
It was very confusing at first because I did do that and I saw like episode 165.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy cow! I didn't realize they have 165 episodes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you're on air, Gene. You're on air.
No secrets, Gene, all right? Let's just let it go.
And then Phil says we started at 100.
Oh, son of a bitch. All right.
All the best podcasters do that.
All right, pal. We'll talk to you.
All right, Gene. Love you. Goodbye.
Pal. See you soon.
The doors are open down here.
Yeah, okay. Send the tickets. Oh, that's funny. So
It
he
is-
did answer
it
the
is
phone.
funny.
Now, talk about friendship, not only between you and I, John. Obviously, you've known Gene longer than me, but now we haven't spoken to Gene in how long? You get a guy on the phone who's a
Yeah.
true friend, and you're joking about, 20, 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just, teasing him, busting his chops. He
Yep.
gives it back. And that's what life's all about. And, you talk about
a forever relationship endures.
Yeah, and then you talk about what are the fortunes in life or what is the success in life. Success is to have friends like you, Gene, and only a couple others in my life that have been around through not only the good times when everything's going well, but the bad times.
Oh, yeah.
So I truly feel blessed to have friends like that. And I know everybody out there, they feel the same.
It's interesting.
Wow, that was great to hear from you.
I met you, and we've said this on the podcast, but this is, of course, it's purposeful to say it again. I met Phil the first day of freshman year of high school while the teacher was calling the roll call in homeroom. And she says, Philip D'Angelo? And this guy who I never set eyes on before, I knew he had to be there somewhere, was sitting right next to me. And here's the important part. He and his family moved into the house right next door. So not only was my next door neighbor now Phil D'Angelo, he was my next door neighbor, but he was sitting right next to me in homeroom. The day that my family met Gene Ferraro, we looked like the Beverly Hillbillies with a station wagon with the fake wood on the sides, all the way back in like 1963. We moved from Bloomfield, New Jersey to Cedar Grove. It was still Essex County. And it really, by the crow flew, I think it was 5 or 6 miles tops. So we pulled down the street, which was Croy Court in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. It was a cul-de-sac with a little downgrade. And my father, and we were just amazed. We were gazing upon the house that we were going to live in. And it had a front lawn. Wow, and there were neighbors, and there was a cul-de-sac that we could, ride our tricycles in. And there was this guy sitting on the curb next to the fire hydrant in front of our house, and it was Gene. And I was like 3.5 years old, maybe 4, and we unloaded the car, and he helped us. We were complete strangers. And he goes, you guys are moving in? And the Gene's about 4 years older than me, so I guess Gene was like about 6.5 or 7 or whatever. And my brother was Gene's contemporary. My brother was 4 years older than me, and my sister was 2 years younger than me. My mother immediately put up a little portable black and white TV in the garage, and she opened some folding chairs, and she had a Sara Lee chocolate cake in a little, tin.
Sure.
And she cut it into little rectangles, and we had paper dishes. Wow. And me and my brother and my sister, who my mother had to stay with because she was really tiny, and Gene, we sat there watching the old black and white TV. I think it was an episode of Combat.
Oh, wow.
And we ate chocolate cake together.
Yeah. And poor Pops was doing the heavy luggage.
Oh, yeah, of course. But the point is, when I met Gene, it's because I moved to Croy Court.
Yeah.
And now he was only like 2 houses away. When I met Phil, he moved right next door to me.
Yeah.
So we're really, we go all the way back to almost our embryonic origins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Long time. Good man, Gene. Good
Absolutely.
Man. Good friend. I mean, listen, me and Gene are kind of opposites. Like, he's got a lot of common sense. I have no common sense. I was always, pushing the limits, and Gene was like, "No, you shouldn't be doing that."
Gene has always been a very metered individual, right? Metered.
Yeah, he kept me in check a lot of times, and I do miss him. I wish he was closer, that's for sure.
Gene and I were driving to the gym. We were going to Verona to, where on Bloomfield Ave, and we had our gym bags and all that crap and our weight belts around our waist, and some whack-off who was not naturalized yet, don't want to use that bad I word, illegal. He was in a beat-up old pickup truck working for somebody, and I was on the right-hand lane of Route 23 going south toward Bloomfield Ave in Verona, and all of a sudden Gene goes, "Hey, this guy's turning into you," and this guy was swaying and cutting me off, turning into me as if I didn't exist, and there were telephone poles and whatnot all along the curb, and so I hit my horn, and that completely threw this maniac over the edge, and he hit the gas pedal and went flying in front of us, pulled into our lane, and then slammed on the brakes, and we went flying into the back of his pickup truck, dented the front of my car, dented his pickup truck. His pickup truck was an old piece of shit. We got out. He gets out. He's about 5'5" and acted like the Tasmanian devil. He grabbed the 2x4 from the back of his truck, from the bed in the pickup truck, and I'm still amazed that this is possible. This little son of a bitch grabbed that 2x4. It was like, I don't know, it was 6 or 8 foot 2x4, and he smashed it over the back of his truck as if he had done this before, and it broke in half, and what he was left with in his hand was about a 2.5 or 3 foot sharp sword. And then he proceeded to chase us like fucking idiots around his truck and my car, and traffic stops. And now I'm looking at people, because this is way before cell phones, and I'm making the phone thing saying, call the police, this guy's a fucking nut. Anyway, did the police ever show up? No. He finally got into his truck and he went off, and I had to. The next time I faced that guy, by the way, he kind of looked like a cross between Charles Manson and the Tasmanian fucking devil. He had hair down to his ass. He had a Fu Manchu beard, crazed look. I think he was all coked out. The next time I saw him in court over this issue, he was clean shaven. He had a crew cut. He had a jacket and tie on, all that bullshit. And it cost me, back then, thousands of dollars just to get that little fucker out of my life.
Wow.
And who bore the expenses of fixing my car? What do you think? Me.
Wow, what a memory. I'm sorry we called Gene.
When Gene watches this, he's going to go, yeah, I remember.
John, if you had to alchemize this episode, how would you alchemize it? It was a fun episode.
Fun episode. I would say, of course, I like to say thank God a lot. Thank God for the people that are in your life, for the long haul, through thick and thin. Whether it be that you meet them for the first time when you're 3.5 years old, or they move next door to you and they're in your homeroom class sitting right next to you first day of freshman year of high school. And it doesn't really matter what happens in between. There were rocky roads between us and then me and Gene and whatnot. There were, but that's what life does. But true friendships, they endure the test of time and tribulation. And I want to say, God bless the people that are what I would call, they're part of our soul family. You guys, to me, fuck, as far as I'm concerned, everybody else is dead, right? But here we are. God bless you, Phil. God bless Gene. And I thank the living God that in this crazy ass fucked up world where everything is turned upside down and right is wrong and wrong is right and hot is cold and cold is hot and white is black and black is white and we're surrounded, encased in chaos. There is a core, a nucleus of souls that have come down with you. They don't have to be your blood relatives. It doesn't have to be your brother or your sister or your cousin or your spouse. Honestly, I was closer to you and Gene than I was to my own brother. Look, I shared a 9 by 12 bedroom with my brother, so I loved him dearly. And of course, he's passed now. It's been 3.5 years or something like that. But God bless the people that are in your life for the long haul. Please take the time in this crazy ass world to regard those people. And you know what? Pick up the phone. Call what I would refer to them as your brothers and sisters. Now, it may be your biological brother and sister, right? But it doesn't have to be. It could be the close friends that endured the test of time. And maybe they live in Florida, or maybe they live in Texas, or maybe they live in the Ukraine. It doesn't matter. Call them up, pick up the phone, and don't worry that you don't feel like having a 1.5 or 2 or 3 hour conversation. Pick up the goddamn phone, reconnect. You won't be sorry. It's a blessing. Go there, my friends. And that's all I really have to say.
Well said as usual, John. Thank you for this episode.
Yep. Sorry, Bones.
Much appreciated. People, if you like what we're doing, press like, follow.
And subscribe. Subscribe, for God's sakes, because everything we're doing here is to alchemize the dark to the light.
Yes.
Lead to gold, fear to love. You'll have to put up with my foul mouth. I don't give a fuck if you don't like it.
Oh, and share.
I love you all. See you soon on the Jersey Alchemist.
Peace.